Well, at least I finished. Many didn't. Not too shabby for a 23-year-old Marine has been. I had turned completely blue and I believe I shivered for hours. It was a slow night for beers and cheers with my preppy friends at Tony Mart's that night. I had become a total failure as a civilian. The very next morning, I heard a knock on the front door and I was visited by another Ocean City Beach Patrol officer. He was Lieutenant Ralph Platt, a physical education major at Trenton State Teachers College and he worked at 34th Street, the south end of the island, where most of the families, camped out, and there were lots of kids and tourists on crowded beaches. He had heard about my United States Marine Corps judo skills, and he also noticed me finishing close to the cutoff point during the race. So he privately asked the Beach Patrol captain if he could add one more extra guard to his family beach up at 32nd Street. I was notified by him personally that very morning to report to rookie school. And now I was a fully fledged, certified Ocean City Beach Patrol lifeguard. Wow, what a life. And it was great to be in uniform again. Ooh, rah! I had my summer digs at the A House ready. Everybody did. It was only men that lived there. It was really called the Arlington Arms at 4th and Wesley Street, and it was on the north end of the island near the fancy homes and the gardens. It was an old-fashioned rooming house full of lifeguards, cops, taxi drivers, bartenders, absolutely no ladies allowed. It was like a 4-story barracks, but always damp, always moldy and smelling, and always college dorm sloppy. My first roommate was a guy named George Becker. He was a very handsome, 3 varsity sports lettered athlete and a football hero from Westminster College in West Virginia. His parents had a house back on the bay, but it was not open yet for the season, so he bunked in at the A House for a few weeks, and we became roommates, and we really bonded. He and I became the best of friends. He was also stationed down at 34th Street on the south end, and we thumbed it back and forth to work every single day. It was a regular routine. Awake, 7:30 a.m. Downstairs for breakfast at Mom's. Everybody called the owner Mom. We hitchhiked it back and forth to work every day to open the beach by dragging the lifeguard stand that I just showed you to the water's edge at 9 a.m. We would sit in the lifeguard stand or walk around the beach, posing, gabbing with the kids, talking with the ladies all day. We practiced rowing, great big wooden 2-man lifeboats in what was referred to as laying off. Laying off was what lifeguards do to keep the bathers kind of grouped together from the outside and the ocean side, rather than sitting on the beach blowing whistles trying to wave them in with their hands. Of course, when we were laying off, we used the All-American flexing muscles as a new civilian occupation. And thanks to Jerry, I now actually had something to show off. We showed off all day, every day, until we closed the beaches and left at 5 a.m. It was one of the best jobs I ever had. We thumbed it home, we took naps, we went down to Mom's for dinner, where we decided as a group where we were going to drink rafts of drafts and lots of laughs that night. Civilian life could not get better than this. A CIA friend of mine I knew from old Fort Mifflin days up in Philadelphia befriended me again. I had met him and his sister while stationed in Fort Mifflin, Philly, way back when. He convinced me while drinking together at Tony Mart's one night I was definitely college material. Frankly, I think he was recruiting me for the CIA. He lent me a business suit, a felt hat, and drove me to Philadelphia to sit for an interview at LaSalle College. He graduated from there and set the whole thing up for me. And surprise, surprise, I passed. I took the test. I was accepted as a freshman for that coming September, and I was now a full-fledged Ocean City Beach Patrol lifeguard and a college boy. I was one happy guy, as the only suntanned, salty, old bleached-out red, white, and blue lifeguard with 2 Marine Corps tattoos and a crew cut. The day I enlisted in the Marine Corps in 1953, my identification card said I was 5'9" and 137 pounds. 4 years later, the day I left the Marine Corps, my ID card said I was 5'10.5" and 165 pounds. Not too shabby for government work, and I can thank Jerry for that. I rode, I swam, I ran, I drank, I made lots of friends all summer. I ran out of money the following year by Christmas, and I bounced out of LaSalle for the second semester. As other vets, I had the GI Bill, which was $110 a month for 9 months of the year. Otherwise, I had no money. I had to work. Wayne was paying most of our rent by then, and I was totally embarrassed. After school and on weekends, I worked as a part-time bartender and waiter at Jimmy Duffy's Cafe catering service, who was out on the main line outside of Philadelphia. During the holiday season, I also worked at the post office delivering mail, and I sold Christmas trees at night on Mrs. Maloney's grocery store front corner. It was good money, and I was good at it, but it was not in my future. I wanted college so bad, and I had to find a way to pay for it. During the spring, I worked at Duffy's. I convinced Wayne to study the college entrance exams. We both applied at Bloomsburg State Teachers College in central Pennsylvania, and we were accepted. I left for the second summer to work at the Ocean City Beach Patrol, and he went to North Jersey to work at bartending. We agreed we would meet again at the end of the summer and head off to college together. And most important, it was the summer I met Maureen, my first true love. It was springtime in Mount Airy, and besides bartending and studying college entrance tests, I was occasionally watching girls play tennis on the public courts near Fairmount Park. A stray ball came my way one day, and I kicked it back to this lovely lady. It actually happened that fast. I was totally smitten in an instant. I had no real girlfriends until that day, only sporadic flirtations and drunken liaisons, but nothing to write home about. Maureen was different. I could never quite get her out of my head. I had to meet her. Jimmy Toll had taught me some serious tennis, so I made a plan to meet her, and I asked her one day for a game. She lent me an extra racket, and then she proceeded to totally kick my ass. That did it. Now I was really smitten. She was only 17, and I was 23. This was a major social problem. A former salty-ass Marine, college boy lifeguard, and an innocent Catholic high school girl senior. Big trouble in River City for this combination. Her mother and father freaked out, but I was allowed to take her to a movie if I got her home in time. We fell instantly, madly in love. We sneaked out. We parked at night in her car whenever we could. One night I announced I would leave soon for Ocean City with college at the other end of the summer for my plan. She seemed accepting. We had a delightful summer. She got permission from her parents to come down to Ocean City, and Mom let her stay in the basement floor of the A house. Mom was very protective of the ladies staying under her roof, so there was never any hanky-panky. Everyone loved her. She was selected as the Ocean City beauty queen at the end of the summer at the lifeguards ball. It was a totally intoxicating summer. Ice had also taken an evening busboy job at Mac's restaurant in Summers Point, working until midnight 4 nights a week after the beach closed. She came down on weekends and stayed at the A house under armed guard from Mom. We partied and fun all summer long. It was, and still is, the summer romance I will remember for the rest of my life. It was heady, risky, reckless, intimate, sexy, romantic, but marriage? No way. I desperately wanted to graduate from college and be somebody someday. Being a 9-to-5 husband with screaming kids and a mortgage around my neck was not quite the plan I had for my future. That became the main issue. She wanted a home, she wanted marriage and kids, and I wanted to be a teacher. We lasted as a serious item all the way up through my junior year of college, and then we split over a trust issue. I'm not going to go into it, it was too personal. In the spring of that year, after we split, I met the greatest love of all, and she was sitting right there in front of me all the time on campus in most of my classes, my future wife. Well now, that is a polite story, and the overview of my Ocean City Beach Patrol summer experience. Now, here is the underview. I always made great friends very easily, but was never really emotionally connected to anyone. Being an orphan suited me just fine. I had no emotional connections. I could come and go as I pleased with no obligations. Making friends as a civilian was the easiest thing I ever did. All we had to do was drink a lot, laugh a lot, and that was the only bonding mechanism necessary. At the A House, all the guys that lived there bonded as warriors. We had fun, ragging on each other about who could beat who in the South Jersey rowing championships at the end of the summer, and all the other macho things we could think of. Lifeguards paired off early as partners and trained all summer in the surf every morning and committed to long rowing drills at the end of each day. The race was a half-mile out, around the buoy, and then back in an active and sometimes very violent ocean. We absolutely loved it. George Becker and I paired up the second year on beach patrol and trained hard between drinks. My first year rookie race partner and I got swamped in a gigantic wave while coming back into extremely violent surf, fed by even bigger waves. It was the end of a northeaster storm. I was scraping on the bottom of the ocean. I could actually feel the shells and stuff banging against my face when I was underwater. I didn't panic, and I heard the whistles blowing as I was dragged up and down the coast in the raging surf. Damn, I almost drowned, and we lost the race.